Hey everybody, welcome back to 3-Day Weekend. You're here with Chris, and I'm here with the O2 Kodiak 400. If you watched the last video, you know I've been having issues with the starter. I replaced the starter, but I'm still having issues with it starting. I had a bad bearing, but now it's slipping, which means there's a one-way bearing in here, and it's going to be bad. So today I'm going to rip apart that engine and see if I can get that bearing out. You know, I was just thinking, if you haven't seen the other video, you don't know what the noise is that I'm trying to fix. So let me crank this over a second. That one didn't do it as bad. It did it, but not bad. That noise. And then watch the rotor. Here, when I do it, you'll see it changes speed. Let me do one more. See, it's struggling to start it more and more as it heats up. It's that bearing in there. I believe the bearing is slipping. So that's what I'm after. I gotta tear into the engine that direction to get to that bearing to change it out. Bonus, I didn't realize this, but I had to take off the water housing of this disconnect pipe, get that out of the way because this whole cover has to come off. Also, you saw me do it in time lapse. 4 bolts hold down the recoil, a 17 millimeter holds on the teeth for the recoil, I guess, and I'm all just 8 millimeters for this, 4 of them. Hold on the water housing. I could probably pull it out of the way, but I'm going to try to disconnect it there. I don't know. I don't feel good about it. We'll see what happens. That was easier to take off than I thought. So I'm going to go around and take out all the bolts and count them. We have a short one with a, well, longer one. Has a collar. Those two are the same. That one's the same. Another short one just to the right of the water pump. Another short one under the water pump. Another short one next to that. And then we have a long one. And a long one. And a long one, and a long one, and a long one. Okay, so starting at the top, going clockwise. Short, long, 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 short, 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 long, 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 long. Got it? Okay, don't forget. That's going to be important later. And then this should come off. I'm going to switch from my coolant tray to my oil tray. And a rubber mallet to help coax that off. Okay. That's the part we're looking for, I believe. Yep, that's the part. I'm going to clean my hands because they're awfully dirty before I start poking around in there too much. Very careful. Man, I don't think this is going to come out. No, it's not going to come out. Dang it. I really didn't want to have to pull the rotor off there. That's the entire starting system right here. That's why it needs a one-way bearing. In a car, this normally is an out engaged. That's the end of the starter. Normally that kicks out and touches the flywheel, but in here it's always engaged. So this is always spinning, that's always spinning around. No, it's backwards. But there's a one-way bearing between these two, so it'll let the engine spin without spinning the starter all the time. And if that's slipping, then when the starter tries to turn it, it's just not going to turn. So there is my problem, but I have to get the rotor out, and the rotor involves a special tool. I'm sitting here looking at this thing, and maybe if I pull the starter out, I'll be able to sneak the gear out. I don't know, worth a shot rather than pulling that rotor. I just don't want to. And I don't have the tool here, I'd have to borrow it from a friend. I'm gonna pull that starter, see what happens. Let's see if this works. Oh. Well, it did work, but that's just an idler. Dang it. The one way's in here. Well, that was a waste. However, if you look at this, I don't know, it feels good by hand. And that has to be what it is, right? This is a little noisy. There's some play. I don't know, maybe I'll replace this needle cage, needle bearing. And the one-way bearing. That's what we'll have to do. Things have progressed. I don't have a puller that goes over these threads, but I have a regular wheel puller. So we're gonna see what happens. Got it off. Using that with the right setting and 3 hands. Some almost cussing. Woodruff key. Save that for later, that's important. And this guy. So that sits in here and spins. And these are the little one-way bearing guys. It's made up of all these teeth. They're all lined up there, and they're positioned in such a way that it only grabs one direction and not the other. But I'm afraid mine are worn out and slipping. I mean, that's kind of why I'm in here doing this. Let me get that back in. There we go. The surface of this does look shiny, but it doesn't look worn. Yep. when I first turned this the very first time, oops, it did slip. Well, I'm going to order some new parts, specifically this thing. Probably get the gear and the bearing. I imagine they're a match set. You can remove them from the rotor. Bunch of hex heads in there. And then put it back on. I thought maybe I busted off the woodruff key, but it's still intact. So, that's what we got going on. Alright, well, we'll pick it up with part 2 once the parts arrive. Alright, well, that's going to do it for me today. Obviously, I have some parts to order. This clutch, this gasket, and that bearing I pointed out. So we'll get all that on order and pick it up there with putting it together. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate all of our viewers. If you haven't done so already, consider subscribing. Just click on the little icon right here. And if you think I earned it, give me a thumbs up. Really appreciate it. Alright, thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time on 3-Day Weekend.